everyone, and welcome to Cursed Ones 201. We're continuing off the series where we look into the history of Cursed Ones in silly slideshow format, which is completely unrehearsed by me, live off the cuff, no edits, so I'm gonna stumble a whole lot. If you already watched Cursed Ones 101, that covers basically the start of the campaign all the way to the Outlands. This is going to go after the Outlands, and it's going to be from, I believe it's going to be from Sunder to Albuquerque. I think that is 201, if I'm not mistaken. So, as you can see, chat is ordering you guys to do some things. We have post Norp in the comments and wish Radicole a Merry Christmas on Twitter. Don't do either of those things. But we are going to hop right into Cursed Ones 201. If you don't know, this is being streamed on twitch.tv/LissyLoops, which is also where the campaign is streamed almost every single Sunday, either 2:30 or 4:30 EST. But we're gonna jump in to Cursed Ones 201. Wow! All right, so let's begin. First of all, we are going to do a recap over the new designs, just generally what's happened recently, and just give an update on all of our characters and a refresher for those who might not fully remember the names. First of all, we have Sakara, the Tiefling Swarm Ranger now. They have a dragon swarm at this point. They are still dripped out at Hot Topic, and we still currently don't know their curse, but that amulet is still incredibly sus. And as was shown in one of the episodes, when it's taken off, the amulet kind of makes them go catatonic in a way. Also, is this music too loud? It's a little bit loud on my end. I might turn it down just slightly. There we go. Let's just make sure that I'm not blasting everyone with Phoenix Wright. All right. There we go. I can't hear either. Okay. So, their kill count is currently uncountable, their edginess is unquantifiable, their drip is impeccable, and we currently don't know of their goals. Next up, we have Triao, a Dragonborn Storm Barbarian, the Thunder of Sunder. In this art, they are now more RAR XD than ever, and we have learned their curse finally, which is Restless Fears. At every moment, they see the worst fears in the corner of their eye, which causes them to lose a lot of sleep due to insomnia. This is why they almost always have a level of exhaustion at the first part of the campaign, which sucks. Their boyfriend count is currently at 1, and as you can see, there is a special tiger lily up at the top of the design, and Elian gave them this flower, which is really cute. Their current goal is to cure curses, and they are Sharpay's bestie. Also, quick note, they got the beard. Oh, you haven't heard any music? Let me turn it up then for you. Okay. It is supposed to be a bit quiet. So, they are Sharpay's bestie, and if you're curious where they got the beard from, that was from a drinking game, of all things. Next up, Lily Novel, who is an elf and a 4 elements monk, which is the worst monk subclass, just objectively, but we made it viable with homebrew, so if you ever see numbers not adding up, it's because we homebrewed it. Lily is still dumb as rocks, but with a big heart. And we still don't know their curse, and we will never know this one. They're a vampire now, which doesn't even rank on the list of top 10 worst things that have happened to her. She's one of the only people Sakara trusts, likes to go bowling with disembodied head, and is on the goal to recover her father's staff, which is what she thought was in the auction in the first episode of Cursed Ones. Benny Jets, who is an Aasimar Radiant Sorcerer and Fighter now. We're starting to get fancy with the subclasses. Benny, as you can see, is officially an edgy fallen angel OC, and their curse is Blood Moon Beast, as we learned last time in 101. During Blood Moons, Benny transforms into an uncontrollable beast hell-bent on killing anything with strong magical readings. This is a physical curse. And we also learned during this season, the previous season, that Benny killed his son while in Blood Moon Beast form. We've also learned recently that Benny is a curse war vet, and the party starts joking that he might have fucked a god. His current goal is to cure curses and find his forgotten memories. Morning Phase, the Tabaxi Celestial Warlock, with she/her. She's still fucking around with Beck and his bag of magical goldfish. And this is what the inherent swagness of being trans femme looks like. It is such a good outfit. Still, honestly, one of my best outfit designs for the series. Their curse is Pop Goes the Limb. Their limbs detach at random every morning, and it is a physical curse. Their current goal is to convert everyone to Beckism and to cure curses. And we have Cornelius tagging along this time, the Water Genasi glamour bard, who is busting it down homosexual style. He has a package deal with Hugo Dever, and collectively they have 0.5 brain cells. He's curseless, unlike everyone else in this journey, and his goal is to join everyone on this fantastical adventure. And, you know, surely nothing bad will happen to Cornelius. And we have Sharpay, the Fire Genasi Horizon Walker Ranger, which is a homebrew subclass. And she will now officially fuck you up interplanar style. Her curse is the Reverse Midas's Touch, so any gold turns to silver, silver to copper, and copper to dust. She is the casino's co-owner and is steadily breaking the economy. Also, the #1 Bozo fan, now carrying along the Clown Knife, which is one of the memoirs after Bozo unfortunately had to leave the party. Her goal is to fuck up her hometown and find a girlfriend, which are very admirable goals. So, let's do a quick goal check as to what happened last time on the Cursed Ones in 101. We have 3 artifacts obtained. That's a lie, we have 4. I didn't write the 4th one down. We have the Sword of Death, the Heart of Life, the Dice of Spontaneum, and the Sickle of Judgment. There have been 1 mom killed. Has been 1 mom killed. I can talk. And the party has traveled to 3 countries, Yashendale, Eros, and Azamir, and has traveled to 2 planes, that being the Material Plane and the Outlands. Their current objective is to head to Sunder, with a side objective of curing Wilfred's scarecrow disease, because currently he's a scarecrow based on some problems in the Outlands. You know, it happens. So, we are going to head promptly over on the Pangea to the wonderful land of Sunder. We are heading specifically to Doncaster and Fairrun, which is a land of metalworking, of chaos, of coal, of mining. It is probably the most industrialized part of all of Ethos. So, welcome to Sunder, everyone! Where shit's hot. Just really, really fucking hot. And everyone is getting black lung because the air in Sunder is so dense and thick with smog that everyone has to wear gas masks while traversing the Sunder if they are not initially from it, which means everyone besides Sharpay and Triao are in tough shit right now. This is also where they are going to find Nova Dever, and they have to rescue her from a few lava worms. She got caught up in a cave alongside her scarecrow companion, and they think that Nova will be able to cure Wilfred of his scarecrow disease. This is also where the Dever family starts getting fucking massive. We currently have a headcount of Elian Dever, Nova Dever, and Hugo Dever. And it is also here where they are told that they have to find the Boreen, which is at the coastline through a place called Albuquerque. And a little bit about Albuquerque, it fucking sucks. It's the hometown of Cornelius and Sharpay, and is a strict Genasi torture school led by Coach Lightning. It's also High School Musical, in case you were wondering. And as they start sneaking their way through Albuquerque, trying to make sure they don't get spotted by Coach Lightning or any of the teachers and guards, they meet Ryash Ashes, who is Sharpay's little brother, who is also Ryan from High School Musical. I guess you guys are probably gonna start finding a little bit of a trend here in the Albuquerque people. But he helps the party sneak through and get to the docks, where they're able to find the Boreen, which is bellowed out in a massive halt! On Sunder Shore, we find ourselves as we see the lovely captain of the Boreen, Mulholland, who is a human grave cleric, she, her, and is finally a non-bard healer. She is the captain of the Boreen, played by Druid for Hire, Ren, and has the curse of spectral vision. She can see through the ethereal plane, sees dead things, and has the first, I believe, spiritual curse. Actually, Wilfred's is the first spiritual curse, but we don't talk about it. And she is the badass Shakespearean whaling captain. This art was done by Druid for Hire, and she runs the Boreen, which is learned to be a whaling ship, a very legendary ship, very Moby Dick inspired, and Mulholland. I love her. She's great. I would honestly watch the Boreen arc just for the Mulholland content because it's amazing. Ren does a great job. But this is also the this is the first guest character we have in the show too. So, there are some adventures on the Boreen that happen. So let's go over them. So, the Boreen, as said before, is a whaling ship, just like Moby Dick. And the party go on a couple of whaling adventures where they go through the whole process of getting on the small dinghy boats, chasing it down, harpooning it, and waiting for the giant gush of blood to come out of its spout. And we learn here that Cornelius is surprisingly good at whaling. He gets a lot of nat 20s, which might be the luckiest streak Cole has ever had in the campaign. And there are shenanigans aplenty that happen in Laborine. It's about a 3-month adventure in canon time, so there's a lot of time for bonding during this adventure. Some of the highlights of that include a braid train, where we learn that both to elves and to orcs, braiding is a very important cultural thing to both of them. It can mean friendship, it can mean love, it can mean awards, and just generally a lot of respect are given to people with braids. So the party have a little braid train, and it's very cute. And there's some other shenanigans. They start punching whale corpses to determine age. I don't really know how else I can describe it. And one of the other shenanigans is that Benny kills Beck. Yeah. That's Benny's first god kill. Let's put it on the chart. So after that happens, you know, FaZe isn't really doing the best and kind of locks herself down in the brig area. And it's during that time that the party get attacked by the Guild of Ethelar. You should remember these guys for later. And the Guild of Ethelar is on a giant pirate ship out on the ocean. This pirate ship is being led by 9 or 11. I fuck up this name a lot. It's canonically 9, but I started saying 11 later down the line because I forgot. And these guys are the Scourge of the Sea. They completely rule over Wolvenshire's area of the ocean, as the party are currently going to dock over on Wolvenshire for a quick bit. The party also learn that 9 is the brother of the leader of the Guild of Ethelar. Basically, they're an evil Shiren pirate crew and Sakara's old guild, which is what we learn here. The party quickly managed to kill 9. I believe Sakara grabs him with a grappling hook, holds him off the side of the boat, drops him into the ocean to drown. And very quickly, you know, they've been disposed of. So, not a problem in the slightest. Honestly, it wasn't that big of a threat, but that will come back to haunt the party later. Here's a picture of 9, drawn by Druid for Hire, once again, Ren, and I fucking love this piece. Alright, and, you know, something very curious happens during the Boreen arc, that being that love is in the air for this entire arc. We really took shipping seriously in this campaign. I mean, like, we're on a boat. Like, you get it? Shipping? And we're on a boat? It's funny. So, on the Boreen, Sharpay meets Kelsey Nearett, who we learn was Sharpay's childhood lover. It's another Albuquerque escapee turned into a pirate. And after taking Heartbreaker's advice, which was given earlier in the series, to kiss someone romantically underneath a cherry blossom tree, Sharpay uses her sparkly pink cloak as a cherry blossom tree, and gives Kelsey her first kiss. It is here that they get engaged. It's also here that we meet Hazel and Pecan. Hazel is a single dad to Pecan, and somehow I predicted Eon's exact type with this character. He was a random NPC that the party found selling some curious bone weapons, and Triao immediately asked him out for a date, and the Triao polycule began here. It is also during this arc that Cornelius proposes to Hugo in one of the cutest scenes ever. I highly recommend going back to watch that scene because it actually won me over as the first time I, the DM, cried in the campaign. And during this scene, by the way, the party are docked in Wolvenshire at this point, in Spring Bay. They actually here go to babysit Pecan, which is Hazel's son, and it's here that we learn that Lily and Sakara are great babysitters, aka Pecan escapes and nearly burn a house down, so that's fun. And it is also here, as they're taking a break, that they start shifting to their main goal, as they have to go find the Ionian Rose, which the Boreen is said to be able to help with. It is here that Mulholland tells the party of a tale, the tale of the Ocean's Rose. So, just to give a quick rundown of this story, there was this man named Zarla, and he was a dockyard worker. He was a tiefling. And then, one day on the dock, Iron, this beautiful Triton, came up, and he was instantly smitten by her. And they had a lot of talks together, and at the end of it, Zarla asked when Iron would return, but Iron had to leave forever to go join an arranged marriage. Zarla promised he wouldn't let them be forced to live in a world where they weren't loved. So, with nothing but a spear, a rose, and rations, he sailed on a tiny little wooden raft to go and find her. And just hours before his destination, just hours before he found the Triton city, he was sucked up by the water and buried in the waves with the Ionian Rose in his arms, still looking for love. And the party actually find Iron, or rather the spectral, shadowy figure of Iron, as she's on this riverboat, almost like a river Styx rower, and starts to take the party to the Aeonian Rose. They are guided by Zarla's broken-off tiefling horn that Sharpay starts using as a magical focus. Only problem! This fucking thing is in the water when they show up to get the rose. And it's huge. It's massive. An eye opens up, golden, resplendent, horrible. It wasn't the waves that killed Zarla, it was this thing. And Cornelius gets speared. He takes over 200 points of damage in a single attack. Keep in mind, the party are level 8 at the most right now. And he dies. Or does he? He actually can't die. For some reason, being speared on this thing's tentacle doesn't kill Cornelius. Despite everything to the contrary, he doesn't die. Alongside this, on top of the deck on the ship, 9 returns from death, tearing through the party with an electric spear. The crew and Mulholland fight off the mutated, that's supposed to be 9. The crew and Mulholland fight off the mutated 9 while Cornelius, Kelsey, and Benny, under the water, gasping for breath, fend off the precipice. Benny manages to scare off the massive many-eyed golden beast, and they return to the surface with a rose. But something is wrong with Cornelius. He has a curse. And Sharpay? Well, let's just say she officially has murderous intent as they start sailing back to Albuquerque. Now armed with a gift from Mulholland, which was one of her bows, that Sharpay is now using to tie up her hair, the party head towards Albuquerque, hoping to find a way to shut it down for good. And this is where we get the return of Wilfred, who has officially been cured of his scarecrow disease. Oh yeah, baby! So, of course, we have our Eric Hawk lore bard, him, and he is the mama's boy carrying on her legacy. And sadly, we have the tragic loss of Scarefrid at this point, but we have gained Marcel. As you can see, we now officially know Wilfred's curse, which is a spectral link. He is linked with Marcel Delacroix, a lizard folk who hurt him when he was a kid, but they're buddies now. And, Curse got really jibbed this one up because this doesn't feel like a curse, honestly. They're just friends. And as you can see, Wilfred brought all his friends with him. He brought Marcel, he brought William, the little kiwi bird, and he's just trying to help out. Unfortunately, he brings Coach Lightning right to the party. Yikes. Bad one, Wilfred. So, Albuquerque, with this lovely art by Cece. Albuquerque is run by a number of teachers. Coach Lightning, as depicted on the left, Darla Darbus, who is Sharpay's old teacher, Florio, who is a Kalishtar, Irene, who is a revenant who watches over the school ground and is cursed to never be able to leave, and Brutus, who is a Goliath fighter. And all of these guys are really strong. They're in the tens of levels. And this is where the party are put through a public humiliation as to show the students of Albuquerque how powerful they are. It's basically an indoctrinated cult, but we don't talk about it. And there are a number of events in this public humiliation. The first one being Chroma, which is the main sport of Albuquerque. It is basically a game of basketball with elements, where you touch the ball, it changes to your element, you can do sick, nasty dunks, and indeed, sick, nasty dunks are had in this phase of the campaign. There's also a number of trivia questions, as led by Irene. There are a bunch of fights between players and party members, and finally, of course, the Battle of the Bards, baby. It doesn't happen. Yeah. Darla was kind of pushing for the Battle of the Bards, but it never ends up happening. It's, yeah. That sucks. But what does happen is that the party stomp the home team, the Wildfires, in Chroma. The party fight the teachers. Most of them manage to win. And Cornelius is curb stomped by Coach Lightning after taking over a game of Chroma. So, as Cornelius is kind of getting stomped to death over in the fighting ring, Darla and Irene help with an escape in the eventual uprising, where the iconic phrase, "What team? Wildfires," is said by Sharpay as they unleash hell upon Coach Lightning. Unfortunately, being a school where some genie and just general Jinn can send away their unwanted spawn, Coach Lightning has a few favors from Jinn, which means he's able to use the wish spell, and he absorbs all of the elements and becomes this elemental titan. It's a very intense scene where the party have to fight off, and it seems hopeless. They beat it with 18 dolphins. 18 dolphins. They just summoned 18 dolphins. Please nerf the spell Conjure Animals. It's really 18 dolphins. I planned this for weeks. God. Well, that's actually all for Cursed Ones 201. So that means it's officially time for the question and answer portion of the segment. So I have some questions once again. No, I'm not powering up Conjure Animals. How could you do this? 18 dolphins and 12 elks is the worst thing ever. No! No powering it up. Stop this. Anyways, the question and answer section is now open. Feel free to ask any questions that may cross your mind about Cursed Ones 201. I'm curious if you guys have any. Oh, you're not asking me? Oh, you're just gonna power up the spell? You're asking Wizards of the Coast. I don't think that they're here. I don't think Wizards of the Coast, if you are here, please, God, don't buff it, please. The dolphins. They took everything from me. You want all DMs to suffer? The fate of 12 elks that have charge? Fuck. It's like 300 damage. It's way too much. No, you can't. Oh wait, you can. You live close to it. Oh no. Anyways, question and answers. That Q&A segment is now. So feel free to pop any questions in chat if you have any. This is a very shorter segment compared to last. And I, of course, am going to read off a couple of questions. And that is going to be from my party. So I have a couple of ones here. And I'm gonna see which ones I should read out. Ooh, I should have answered this one in the last segment. I'll do that one later. Where do coffee beans grow? This is asked by Snarp09. Coffee beans grow in Yashendale. Question from Eggabooha. What happened with Scarecrow Wilfred? Wilfred was turned into a scarecrow during the Outlands. Basically, in one of the dead zones, this scarecrow let out a toxic gas. And what happened? Okay, yeah. And after that, the party had to go to Nova Dever to de-scarecrow Wilfred. Wilfred actually went to the Dever farmhouse for a couple of months that the party was on the Boreen. And during that time, one by one, every single strand of hay was taken out and the soul was slowly, like, dripped off of it. It was kind of at the speed in which maple sap is made. It was like every single strand of hay was embedded in his soul. And since his soul is already fragile from being involved in a spiritual curse, Nova had to delicately, piece by piece, in a whole-ass scarecrow, take Wilfred apart and put his soul back into his body. And during that time, actually, it took about 2 months. So for the third month, Wilfred just trained for the remaining time and was waiting for updates on where the Boreen was. He was watching a lot of shipping charts, going to docks and such, and just generally training with Nova and kind of getting adopted by the Devers in the process. So the family tree grows. But that's what was happening with Scarecrow Wilfred. I should also note that when the party docked at Spring Bay, this is when FaZe exited the party to go look for Beck. Wilfred was into shipping? I don't think he was. Okay. Where are the hottest places in Ethos? This is a question asked by Snorp. The hottest places in Ethos are Wolvenshire and Sunder, though I think Sunder has to take the cake, because especially where Trial lives, which is Doncaster, that is right next to and in between 2 volcanoes. So, what was the temperature? Ooh, that is a good question. Let me quickly look something up, because I think I'll be able to give, okay. I think that about the temperature would be around the 54 Celsius range. So, blazing hot. It's really something that only, like, lizard folk would live in, and that's why meat and food is so hard to cultivate in Sunder. But Wolvenshire sits at a pretty, like, usually in the 30 Celsius range for their heat, so it's hot as hell. Another question from Snarp09. What are the most popular instruments in Ethos? Ooh, lute, lyre, harp. Harmonica is pretty common around kids. really know anything else. I guess that would be common questions. I see you adding more questions there. So yeah, just a lot of common instruments and such. I'd say lute and lyre are the most common, though it depends on the region, because I'd say Wolvenshire are more into drums and electric guitars, because they have electric guitars. Eros is more woodwinds. Yashandale is more lutes, lyres, harps, and, like, woodwind. And I'd say that Azamir prefer, like, a piano or probably a bone flute. They'd carve flutes from the bones and tusks of whales. You have many stupid questions? That's fine, that's fine. Was there, does Ethos actively have a creation mythos? Good question. That is also from Egg. Ethos does have a creation mythos. A lot of people believe that there is an almighty god that rules over the Celestials. They call this one just generally Ethos God, or, like, the start, the beginning is typically what people call it. But canonically, it doesn't have a name because the power comes in the fact that it wouldn't have any single letter, kind of like how the letter gods have one letter. But basically, the idea is that Ethos God, or whoever, the creator, created the Celestials, who then proceeded to create the world, and then created Colossi, who created people, and then people started creating people. But that's the creation mythos. Okay, are there any common bedtime stories? This is a pertinent question because a bedtime story was actually done in this arc. Bedtime stories depends also on the region. In Wolvenshire, there's a lot of stories that the big bad monster of the dunes will come snap you up. It's a lot of wives and maidens tales and such of things that, like, kind of like tales, just like don't talk to strangers, etc., but reformatted as, like, there's a wolf in the woods. Die. If you go touch it or something. Like, don't talk to strangers, don't pet big wolves in the woods, those types of stories. And are there any unique seasons? I'm trying to figure out what that would mean. Unique seasons. Oh, seasons as in, okay, I was thinking, I actually don't think that there are any unique seasons. It is fall, winter, spring, summer. Though Sunder pretty much only has summer, spring, with a little bit of a rainy season for the winter. Same with Wolvenshire. It's more of like where people are. There's a Bible per se. There is a Bible. There is a Bible with stories of creation. Yes. That would be generally with people who worship Celestials once again. Though there's like a number of different mythos and such. Like it's more of a pantheon of gods. Pantheon. And that'll actually, I believe, be tackled more in series coming soon, actually, because Threadwire, which is the current arc, has a lot of religious establishments in it. But yes, there are different religious texts in the series. And let me read another few of these questions. Okay, this is a good question for this one. Do dragons get curses? That's a good question. Do dragons get curses, or are there any other creatures exempt from curses, like demons? Good question. So, basically, dragons can get curses. Yes, dragons get curses. Monsters get curses. It's kind of like how goblins get curses. Beholders can get them. Spectators can get them. Any single creature, basically, besides a couple, can get curses. Some of the creatures that can't get curses include animals without really, like, the proper brain capacity to get stuff. It's basically anything without sentience can't get curses, really. Though, I guess that brings in the question of, would you lose a curse with Feeble Mind? If you previously had sentience, then that would not take away from the fact that you would have curses. And if you became a sentient creature, like how Nibble went from a bird to a creature, then yes, you would gain a curse upon gaining sentience and reaching your emotional low. That question came in from Cece. Other parts of that question, currently you guys really haven't seen that many instances of creatures besides humanoids getting curses, so I realize that it's kind of like a mystery up in the air, but yes, they do. We've seen Selkies with curses, there's been some other things with curses, mermaids, sirens, etc. So yeah, pretty much everything gets curses. Curse God doesn't really exempt people, even as we've seen the prophets that follow him still get cursed. So there we go. And I think that that's a good amount of questions to answer for Cursed Ones 301. So once again, we are going to finish this episode off here. Or I guess this is 201. So the next video should be Cursed Ones 301. That'll be coming out very soon on the YouTube. And for those watching in the live stream, that'll be happening in just a moment. But thank you for asking questions. Thanks for tuning in. And next time, we're going to learn more in Cursed Ones 301. Bye!